Happy 100th episode!
Oh, Jesus. Where'd we fit that in?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know.
It was my idea to start this because I really wanted us to have a conversation. People write their own story of what the homeless population is, and I just felt like it was our job to educate people.
Florida has the fastest growing homeless population in the entire country, and we're the third largest homeless population in the country, with so many changes over the last few years with Matthew's Hope, with what the government's funding, what they're not funding, the political climate. We've had homeless guests on. We have had folks that have come out of homelessness through our program. We've had politicians on. We've had people from other agencies and ministries on.
It helps me to be more grateful for the things, that we have that we take for granted, like a bed. But it's really been a blessing to me to get to know your guests and hear their story. So I've learned a lot too, but I've also been able to take a step back and be like, okay, how can I become a better person and a better steward for the community and for the homeless population and also for Matthew's Hope as well. So thank you guys for that. Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Lewis from Imagine Marketing, and we are joined by Pastor Scott, who is the CEO and founder of Matthew's Hope, as well as Shelley Bradford, who is the president and executive director of Matthew's Hope. This podcast is produced and filmed and edited by John Burkett with Imagine Marketing. Welcome to this week's episode of Straight Talk No BS with Matthew's Hope, presented by Imagine Marketing. At Imagine Marketing, we put in the extra effort to craft a tailored strategy for success. So book a free consultation today. In this episode, we're going to be talking about whether or not this week will be Merry Christmas for those in our community experiencing homelessness. But before we get into that, we have something to celebrate. Happy 100th episode!
Oh, Jesus. Thought she knew something I didn't know.
I hope you know that one.
We're having a baby. I didn't know what was going to happen there. It was like,
Yeah.
100.
100 episode.
Holy smokes. Where'd we fit that in?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. So, great way to end the year and have a Merry Christmas, right?
Yes, very exciting. So
Yeah.
great job, everybody. So why did you guys start this podcast?
Because I thought it was a great idea. Because I didn't think we had anything else to do with our time.
Wow.
It really came down to, for me personally, when we started talking about it, was, can this be an educational tool?
Yeah.
It's turned out to be my personal counseling tool in many ways, because I have some thoughts on some things as anybody's been listening or watching over the last couple of years. We really look at it as an educational tool and try to address things in real time as much as we can, with so many changes over the last few years with Matthew's Hope, with what the government's funding, what they're not funding, the political climate, inviting guests on. We've had homeless guests on. We have had folks that have come out of homelessness through our program. We've had politicians on. Mm-hmm. We've had people from other agencies and ministries on. So, I hope that's what we're accomplishing, because it is a significant investment of our time to do it. But I find it's been a great opportunity also to remind ourselves at times why we do what we do.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, the reality is it was my idea to start this because I really wanted us to have a conversation. You see so much online, and you see so much people write their own story of what the homeless population is. And I just felt like it was our job to educate people. And I'm real big on educating people, and, whether they want to learn it or not, if they're taking the time to listen, they obviously want to learn something.
I think it's a great idea. A few of my friends and people that I know in the community have actually reached out to me and told me that they've learned a lot, whether they're listening to it on their walk or in the car. But they said that they've really learned a lot more about your services, mm-hmm. and especially the guest. For me, it helps me to be more grateful for the things, that we have that we take for granted, like a bed.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
And of course, I love spending time with you guys. But it's really been a blessing to me to get to know your guests and hear their story, and also be reminded, hey, be kind to somebody, even if they're not what you would think that they are, or putting that, like their story, guessing their story. Like a lot of people will say, oh, it's because of drugs or alcohol.
Right.
A lot of people get that.
Criminals.
And it's almost never because of that. I've learned a lot too, but I've also been able to take a step back and be like, okay, how can I become a better person and a better steward for the community and for the homeless population and also for Matthew's Hope as well. So thank you guys for that.
It's cool. When Shelley first started talking to me about it, quite honestly, I wasn't, if I'm honest, I wasn't completely sold on the idea from the standpoint. I just thought, is there enough to say? And what I've learned is we never have enough time to say everything that needs to be said and out there. And again, it's a growing crisis throughout the United States. And I want to remind the people more locally that, Florida has the fastest growing homeless population in the entire country. And we're the third largest homeless population in the country. Florida once again is leading something, but not leading in an area that I think we should be proud of. I think, there's times where I will have people stop me, or when I do, sometimes I do a fair amount of public speaking, and I'll have people say, I felt like you were a little critical of the church, or I feel like you were, and I go, well, maybe the church has earned that reputation. And, I'm the biggest fan of the church.
And others are too scared to say it. Somebody may need to say it for somebody to open their eyes and be like, oh, wait, maybe this is.
Well, I mean, even this, we had our first, literally, our first talk of the sleeper buses was happening right now, a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we've talked about doing a bus and stuff for years. In fact, it was funny the other day. I found something the other day because back almost 16 years ago, I was looking at trying to put together a design of a bus or a trailer that would have laundry and bathrooms and sleeping quarters. And, I ended up building a shower trailer back then, because it seemed like for the money for bang for the buck, that was my best opportunity at that time. But actually bringing it to fruition started about a year ago. But here's the challenge. In a year, I've been talking to churches and been challenging them to step out in faith. Because everybody's talking, let them in the church at night to use the restroom. I don't know, or what is the neighbors going to say if the bus is parked out there, and you're sitting there going, as an ordained minister, which sounds so weird that I still say that about myself. I got mail the other day. It said Reverend Scabaloo, and Charlene said, "Who calls you Reverend?" I go, "The seminary, because they're asking me to donate money."
Yeah.
Okay, but outside of that, my seminary, nobody's asking anything.
Introduce you as that.
So it's less. When it's critical about church or critical about Christians, that's the other side. If the shoe fits, wear it.
Yeah.
Okay, but when I hear things that are not very church-like, certainly not Christ-like, I feel it a responsibility to, if I'm going to have the microphone, if I'm going to have the platform, let's call it for what it is, and hopefully more of them will take a look at it. But the point being, here we are a year later. The buses will be completed here soon, to where we'll have all of them put out there, and I'm still fighting for host partners. And when you sit there, that every city that we're 19 municipalities, that's actually double going into the first of the year, because we'll be in every municipality in Brevard County. So that comes out to 36 municipalities, and I've only got a handful of churches that are willing to host and work with us. That's sad. That's a sad statement
on the churches.
Yeah. So it's less about I'm not trying to be critical. I'm more of challenging people that if you believe what Matthew 25 says, then let's walk it. Let's quit talking a bit. It preaches well, but let's actually put it in motion.
Or come together. Yeah. So part of the goal was to dispel some of the stereotypes about those experiencing homelessness, which Wayne and Vicky, they were recently on. I don't do favorites, but I really love them. They joined us. How are they the perfect example of not what people think of when they think of homeless people?
Well, I mean, just think, 6 weeks ago, they were in a home. And 6 weeks ago, they were going to
For 10 years. Was it 10 years that they were in it for?
They were going to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, just like you and I. And then all of a sudden, their home was sold. And because they were renting, they had no say on what happens next. And since they stayed in that same home through the pandemic and everything else, they didn't realize that it's not going to be a big deal to get a home, because it is, because they didn't have 3 times of their rent saved up. They didn't have that, and they don't make the income to be able to rent a place. To qualify.
I mean, Wayne was disappointed that, as anybody would be, if suddenly have to move from their home.
And I think they had 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah.
2 weeks to move?
Yeah, I think it was 10 days.
It was insane. And even, we were talking to Jennifer, our attorney, about that. And she said, that's not even legal.
Wow. But they didn't know.
They didn't know.
I probably wouldn't either.
They didn't know, and they're kind of people, if anybody watched, they're not kind of people who are going to be combative with anybody.
Exactly.
And so Wayne just kind of like, well, this is terrible, however, we'll just go out and find another place to go to. Not having any idea what that had changed since the last time they tried to rent, of showing 3 times. I mean, they can afford the rent. They can't qualify. They don't produce 3 times what their rent would be to qualify. And that's the big troublesome area for them is hopefully now that we've connected them with the VA and other things that are going on, that's going to change, but it's a lot to take on.
And can you guys remind everybody of Wayne's background? Because he wasn't a lazy bum, what people say a typical homeless person would be, is a lazy bum.
Wayne's like,
because they ended up homeless.
Yeah, Wayne 83, something like that.
No,
73. I'm sorry, 73 years old. But the man wants to work. Yeah. He doesn't want anything so he's proud. I mean, he literally became a Navy SEAL, spent 17 years in the Navy, as I recall, and then
Army Ranger.
Went into the Army and became a Ranger. Okay. Wow. So they were kind of
and that's
used
hard
to not
to do.
Living.
If people don't know military, that's like up there.
There's probably a handful of people, literally a handful of people in the entire country that can say they've been both of those things. And he's a proud man. If you see how he sits, he sits up straight. I mean, you could tell he's a military guy.
Yeah.
And never would he ever think this is where he'd be. But he also never took any military benefits. He didn't feel anything was owed to him. He still has shrapnel in his leg that as he's gotten older and thinner, it's making its way to the surface. So that's probably going to be a problem he's going to have to deal with. Absolutely. Would anybody look at them and say they're going to become homeless? No. And that's true with so many of the people we serve.
Yeah.
In fact, the vast majority of the people we serve, we have a guy, and I can't remember his name right now, and I feel terrible about it. But younger kid, late 20s, early 30s. And, he just wrote us yesterday. He got cleaned up. He got his life back together. And he's going to work as I believe it's I think they called it a computer engineer. I don't even know what that is. But we knew he was smart. We had no idea that he was that smart. But I mean, you look at his picture side by side. We used to call him like John Lennon. He looked like a high John Lennon. Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And now his face is filled out and stuff. And he's a good looking kid, super smart. And he sent us a song yesterday. He was playing guitar and sent a song. And one of the things he says, make sure that Miss Sarah knows how important she was to me, to being a light in a place when my life was in a very dark place. And of course, Sarah, my stepdaughter, she's in tears over that. But again, that's the stuff that motivates you to go a step further, and there's, we last podcast, we talked about stories. Again, there's just so many, but we've had, as we, enter Christmas and the new year coming up and everything, there's so many things that have taken place that have been so positive. But the other side of it, like I said, it's been hard work. Like I said, the bus thing is such a critical thing to the communities we serve, but we need those partners. And that's a little heartbreaking that nobody's banging down the door saying, hey, how can we help you?
And what do you need from them, for those that are listening and they're like, how can we help?
It can be as simple as a place to park.
Okay.
Ideally, the ideal host would allow us to put a 50 amp circuit in so they can plug in and not use the generators and fuel overnight. So it makes it just purr like a kitten. It's nice and quiet. And access to a restroom or allow us to have a porta potty there. It's fairly simple. I mean, we've even got people that are willing to come in behind us that own a commercial cleaning company that said if there's an issue, they'll come in and clean up. We have, each bus has a trained security personnel on it, along with the driver. If they came into your bathroom, they would have an escort in and escort out. So, I mean, we've covered all the
Sounds like it's really
parts of it.
like foolproof.
Nothing's foolproof, but I will tell you that the truth is, we've literally
Thought of things.
crossed every T and dotted every I. All the church has to simply do is say, we'll be a host and we'll share our space with someone else.
That's good. So we are celebrating our 100th episode this week, but we are also celebrating Christmas. So how merry will this week be for those in our community experiencing homelessness? What does that look like for them?
Well, it's going to look different than what we're used to, obviously. We at Matthew's Hope do our best to try to make sure that they each have gifts. We do our best to make sure that they feel like family as well. And then, this is the time of year that other organizations, other churches, since we're talking about churches will serve homeless at Christmas time because honestly, it looks good for their optics.
Love Jesus, but we love him a lot more during the holiday.
Right. So
that'll get some phone calls.
Do I think that they're gonna, their Christmas just looks different?
It's interesting that we will have people that will be allowed to reconnect with family for Christmas for that brief time. We have people that will leave on a bus and go visit their grandkids, and their family up north doesn't even know they're homeless.
Wow.
Okay. And they'll spend a week or two up north. Often I find, especially with men, and keep in mind that our fastest growing population is baby boomers. And that's a very proud group of people. And they
don't ask for help.
They don't ask for help.
My dad's a part of that.
Yeah.
And he's very positive and he's very all these things and it's fine. Like,
yeah. And well, exactly.
I'm a positive person too, but at the same time,
the other side of it is they feel like, my son or my daughter has enough challenges in today's world. They don't need to be challenged by mine. So you have that. You have some that will stay local and have a meal with their family, and then it's kind of over. You have others that have no family. I mean, I've got a young lady that I met with just a few days ago who, she's been on her own since she was 15 and she's a single mom. And we were talking about all that. And there's nobody for her to lean on. There's just nobody there. Her parents have passed away.
Somebody to lean on.
Yeah. So, she can't call up mom and just say, hey, even if mom can't do anything, sometimes mom can't do anything, but mom can be an ear. Mom can be a hug.
Yeah.
Mom, and they don't have that. And some of them have never had that. The mental health aspect plays such a role here this time of year. And so a lot of what we're doing is not just my mental health team being supportive to them, but we as a team being encouraging. And I often say, because I'm based in Brevard, I'll get up early enough and I'll greet our volunteers, and we have our little volunteer meeting and we say a prayer. And I always say, if all we've done is allowed them, being our guest, to see him, being Jesus, in us for just a brief moment, then our job is complete. And that's kind of who we have to be. I mean, we've been collecting, toys, and we've been giving them out already.
Yep.
But we've also collected fresh, new adult clothing for these folks because, one, it's a need. Weather is going to get a lot colder here in January. February is typically when that happens. So we've been collecting, new clothes for this period of time and giving those as gifts. So it's something you need, but also a chance to have something new. Some of the fun parties, we've done these parties that we do each year, making sure they got a great meal. And then we find a really creative way of letting them be able to select items that they want. So we have tables set up, if you will,
Okay.
with like, here's all your beanie hats, here's your scarves, here's your long sleeve t-shirts. And we let them rotate until everything's gone. But so someone might say, well, I've got a real need for a beanie hat. I want a hat. Someone else, their first pick might be a long sleeve t-shirt because they just feel that's a greater need. So that's kind of how we do it. And I will say the community has come through strong for us. They're getting it. They're paying attention to, when I say they're paying attention, because obviously we did that already, but even our day-to-day needs, people are starting, really, it's taken years to get them to understand, why are they asking for single serve? Why are they asking for travel size?
That is one thing that I did learn too.
Yeah. It always kind of makes me smile a little because it means we've done our part.
Yeah.
When people will go, can you use this, instead of being angry because we won't take something. Because the times that I've stood at the door when people have gotten angry because it's something we just don't have a need for.
What's the weirdest thing that has been dropped off? Because I've seen in your posts.
We actually can't actually discuss that.
Okay. Maybe the next step then. Maybe what's appropriate for our audience.
Let's get past all the inappropriate things that, hey, folks, check your bags. I don't need to know that much about your personal life. And John, don't you dare cut that out of here.
Just so we can give it
because it's true. The stuff you sit there and go, good God, what they did not.
What made you think that a homeless person would use this?
Because you're not a thrift store, so you're not filling
the hockey
needs
sticks
of all
were fun because you know how many homeless people in Florida have taken up hockey. Yeah, the hockey sticks were fun. The scuba diving equipment, that was a good one. That was really good. Yep. Yeah. Tanks and everything. That's awesome. Because I have a lot of our guys live in beachside that like to scuba dive off the reef.
You just never know.
They might like that.
I'm going to bring up something that again, and John, don't you dare cut this out because it's just a very true story. And one of the challenges we have, the biggest challenges we have, is women's clothing has so many different sizes. When you get into women's undergarments, they are just amazing sizes. And we get this box, a big box of brand new women's panties. And I was so thankful. I'm like, my God, it's tagged, it's brand new. I'm thinking this stuff's expensive. This is fantastic. And then we pulled it out and
what happened? I need to know.
You saw my face, but I guess you can't see my face on a speaker. But
I'll say
colorful.
Yeah, it was. First off, we really do. We prefer our panties with crotches.
Yes, that would be nice.
I'm there with you now.
And
then someone
more
says,
fabric than not.
Yeah, and then you sit there and someone actually said, well, it's all brand new. You could sell it. I'm going,
where?
Matthew's Hope Ministries is not going to be selling Fredericks of Hollywood's, and so. What's the strangest? We've had prosthetics. That might have
been close to
prosthetics. That's been fun.
Yeah.
It's like, again, all I got to find is someone who needs a right leg in this particular side. You have to laugh sometimes. It can be really, the tough part is it's really expensive for us when people go off our list because we've got to go through it. Then we've got to pick, we got 3 piles. Yes, we can use this. We can't, but we know someone who might be able to use this. And this just goes right
Which
to
that
the
also
dumpster.
takes time too, because then you need to
that's the point.
Yes.
I am sure we're spending $30,000 to $40,000, maybe more a year, just paying people to sort through this stuff.
So let's do better.
And we can't. People say, well, why don't you sell it? Why don't you just sell it? Well, the problem is, again, when, how, and where am I going to store it until I sell it?
That takes a lot of time.
Okay. And we get people that get mad at us. Wow. Well, I'm never going to give you ever again. I said, well, I don't have a thrift store. I jokingly say, because here's the other stuff, and it's not even just funny, it's sad. Why are you giving us a broken lamp? First off, a homeless person doesn't need a lamp to begin with, but it's not like I got a room full of elves out back that are little electricians back there to fix this. And you know what every little homeless girl really loves? They really love a doll that's a little dirty and missing an arm and an eye that keeps going like this.
I feel like that's disrespectful. Right. Like, if you wouldn't give it to your child, why would you
give it to somebody else? Right.
I think that sometimes, I hope it's not being disrespectful, I think that a lot of times is people have a garage sale, they got this leftover stuff and they go, well, we'll just dump it over there. I've watched people read our signs of what we don't take.
Yeah.
and they'll look around, and because it says you're on camera, and I can see them, we can watch it from home, and they're looking around, and they'll crouch like they got smaller, and then they creep back and forth and dump all their crap on our porch.
That's disrespectful.
And that part is disrespectful because you actually read it. It told you,
Yeah.
we don't
You
take
knew.
these items, and you left them anyhow.
Yeah.
But it's not their problem. However, if I post that kind of stuff, then I get people that get mad at us
Yep.
because we're ungrateful. And it's an argument you can't win.
It's a balancing act
Constantly,
All the
because we
time.
don't ever want to come across as ungrateful, because the truth is, when you talk about a $15 million budget, half of that is in-kind services and things we need: food, clothing, hygiene, medical care, or whatever it is. Half that budget is all those things. So we're very dependent upon that. At the same time, when you're sitting there, it becomes not funny, and you go, okay, now I've got to dispose of this.
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff we've had to dispose, I'm going, I don't even want somebody to find
Find
that
it in our
dumpster.
trash. Right.
Because they're going to go, what the heck are they doing over there? And it's like, well, it's an interesting place, Matthew. So again, we laugh, but it's not funny sometimes, because it's a balancing act, as you said.
Yeah.
So Shelley mentioned, let's do better. And hey, what do you need?
Yeah.
Can you guys tell everyone about some of the events that you've had recently?
Well, we had the Polar Express.
The Polar Express was amazing.
Let's talk about that.
Well, here's the thing. I need to find out from Courtney what the final count was, but we had 1,000 reservations.
Wow.
And we had a lot of people. I mean, obviously I couldn't do this. She has some way of tracking all that stuff, but on the first day we had promoted it. We had something like
700.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I said, don't talk about it. Literally, I had it taken off Facebook and everything, and people were still calling till, like I said, last I remember, it was like 1,000. It may have been more of reservations. And but what a cool, fun time with Santa and Mrs. Claus. We had this cool train that came through, and the kids are driving in. We had just redone the property in Brevard with our new lighting and stuff. And so we had buildings lit up. We had the snow.
Did you do a snow angel?
I did do a snow angel.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I had to get down there with the rest of the kids that were doing it. The hard part is then you got a wet tush.
Oh,
and
yes.
You're walking around.
Then you're walking around, and
But you
63, I'm too old for a wet tush.
Is that the snow
or something else?
What is? Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is you could go either way, and nobody was going to know that I was in the snow. Fortunately, most of the wet was in the back, so I don't know if that's good or bad.
TMI.
There you go.
But so much fun, and we had our entire team out there interacting with people and letting them see the campus, and provided Christmas for a bunch of needy kids and families and stuff. So it was just everything was a blast. But leading up to that was fun because we did 4 parades.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we have a Apopka, Merritt Island, Cocoa Rockledge, Titusville,
and Winter Garden.
And Winter Garden. 5.
Wow.
5. Yeah. And in 4 of those, we took we actually had to use 2 different buses that we have, our sleeper buses, because of the timing to get some from here to there. So fortunately we had drivers for that. And so we had that. That was huge because the response from the general public, I mean, look, there's days where I literally have people roll down their window to yell at me.
Wow.
Okay. They'll do like this, and I'll roll down my window, and they'll say, hey, go blank yourself. And thanks for all the trash you've done, and you're sitting there going, you made that much effort. You rolled down the window, you beeped at me like you needed something. I will tell you, going to these parades, we had more people waving at us, yelling out, thank you. Thank you for all you do in our community. That was good for the staff as well. I mean, I like to hear it, but when the staff gets to hear it, because they see all the other stuff, we have found that there's more with us than are against us.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
A lot more with us. And that was a lot of fun. And, we had some special Santa hats. I should have brought one here today. Purple Santa hats with the Matthews Hope logo on them. So all the volunteers that worked with us and we had guests in the parades and staff were wearing those, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun and a lot of work. But
the toy drive was big.
Toy drive, gifts of hope, gifts are what a a great. We had so many businesses and schools.
Yep.
We had civic groups that became drop-off points, and it just showed also that when everybody does something, God has a way of really making something big out of it, and that's pretty cool. I mean, some of the gifts, my kid didn't get them,
Right.
when they were younger, but most of them were very thoughtful. And again, we tried to offer some guidance on what makes sense for a homeless child, and then what made sense for homeless adults. You can't think of, a lot of times people want to put poverty and homelessness in the same category, and they're two different things. The only time we ever serve out of homelessness is with our Firm Foundation preschool and at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of the time it's 100% homelessness. But when we did the gifts, we had to go through those gifts and stuff and say, okay, this is appropriate for a homeless family.
Mm-hmm.
This is appropriate for someone who's in poverty. But they have a home.
And thought of that.
Okay. Like people want to give us bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to put them?
Was there?
People sometimes want to give us sports balls. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, your homeless kids, honestly, in most cases, can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A bicycle's not going to work. A ball is not going to work. A lot of times it's smaller toys stuff,
Or battery
for little girls,
operated.
they're the easiest. Dolly is still the best thing, any kind of doll. And Barbie's still very popular with little boys, any kind of car or truck. But once you get past that, you start getting those older kids also. People said, well, why'd you ask for gift cards? Well, what we did is in most cases, we didn't give the gift cards to the children. We found out what they wanted and we went out and bought it with that gift card.
Right.
Okay. And then we tried to also, as best we could, make that equal.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of times, people see where I want to adopt a family. Here's the problem with that is we've watched families next door to each other, and a wealthy family got this family, and just average Joe, middle-class Joe over here was this family. And the Christmas looks very different. The kids notice that. They notice, and why does Santa love them more than me?
Yeah.
And so I really have tried to get us away as a community, get away from adopting families. And better yet, the way we've always done things, and it's a great time to explain this is what took place. And in the future, you might want to think about this, those that are listening. We had, as people waited to see Santa, they walked through a maze of gifts and toys. And while they were doing that, we had an elf follow along that would write down when the kid would ooh-ah something, we'd write that down. And then as they sat there with Santa, the elf would write that down too. And then we gave that to the parents to come back a few days later, and we gave them a budget to come and shop. So those gifts were actually coming from them, not from us.
That's brilliant.
Right.
We're trying to keep from training people to understand the church or an outreach or what have
The
you.
community in general, because when I first met you, that was our first project, because we were adopting. Winter Garden Community Facebook group was adopting families and doing just like what you were saying. And you're like, hey, have you thought of it this way? I'm like, no, I haven't, but we should
I'll never forget that because
Tracy.
She was so enthusiastic.
Yes. I was so excited.
And I felt like
I'm like, Scott, this is what we're doing.
I just
He's
brought
like,
this storm.
well.
Yeah, boom. And I just felt like I just, rained on her but rather than reacting poorly to that, she processed it and went, never thought of that.
Yeah.
And most people haven't. And so this is another reason for the podcast is to share things like that. Yeah. Because there is nothing worse, especially for a dad, to watch his kids get gifts that he has no idea what they are or where they came from.
Right.
Okay.
And the parents wrap them too, right?
Right. So what we do is we give them wrapping paper, we give them the tape, they come and they shop, and now it's them, whether it's a complete family, mom and dad, or single parent family, they have the joy of wrapping those gifts. They have the joy of giving those gifts, which goes way beyond standing in line and being given something or showing up somewhere. And it's the right way to do it. I mean, next year we're relaunching our Christmas Carnival as part of that.
Yay.
Because there's been such a call for us to do it. And again, that was a way for us to bring in many different churches and people that wanted to help and have this carnival for the kids. But again, spread the wealth, and less chance someone's going to take advantage of that too. Because the sad part is there are people that will get on every list and stand on every line.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And get anything they can for free.
Yep.
Okay. There are those
Multiple
people.
times, yeah.
And, this is a way to get away from that and still make sure. And again, when we say we provide Christmas, I want to be this clear. This does not mean the child walks away with a toy.
Right.
They get Christmas.
Right.
You guys really do a phenomenal job.
So, and we
really,
want them
really
to be
do.
taken care of that way.
So, Shelley, let's go back to the Polar Express. How great is it to see so many members of the community enjoying a great event on the campus of a homeless ministry compared to the response of some neighbors when you guys first proposed moving into that spot?
The great thing is I think that over time people have seen that their narrative was wrong, and for us to be able to provide something to the community, such as the Polar Express, and bring people in and bring people on our location to be able to feel this does not feel like what people in their mind have decided what a shelter would be.
Sure.
So it's been great just to see people come onto the campus and then just see how beautiful it is.
Yeah. It's funny when I had people ask me, so where you got, where's your property that you do outreach at? I go, you're on it.
Yeah. Right.
And they go, well, what, where? Well, the building we're standing in.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And, they're seeing all this decorated place and the gifts and everything and Santa and all this stuff's going on. And they're going, you mean like right here?
Right here. Right.
I go, yeah. And by the way, when we're not doing services here almost every weekend, we rent the facilities as a wedding venue or for corporate events as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, seriously. And you go, well, I said, imagine walking out here after your wedding and those trees lit up like that, the pictures you get with the sunset back there and all that kind of stuff. They're going, that's crazy. Because in their mind, that's just not possible to have one of the premier wedding venues
Right.
is a homeless outreach.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we also found this in growing that campus over the last 3.5 years is some of the people, that was the final straw on why they decided to do their wedding at Matthew's Hope. Okay. Trinity Oaks and Matthew's Hope, because not only am I having this amazing, beautiful wedding, but the money is going to be used to support the community's homeless people.
What better way to do it?
And that was when we first started going, that's going to be an interesting sell.
Mm-hmm.
But again, once they go through the property and they're going, this doesn't look like a homeless outreach. I said, okay, then we've done our job.
Right. Right.
It's very clean and very beautiful.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
We're proud of it. I mean, it's
as you should.
I have to admit, when we have to put in the late nights and I leave and the trees everybody's gone and the trees are lit up, and the property is just the courtyard is just amazing. There's sometimes I've just kind of walked the property and just, this is gorgeous. And then I have to, I usually get a grin on my face to think that, and by the way, 300 or 400 homeless people came through here this week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. I love it. Is there anything else that you guys want to add this Christmas week?
I do. I'm just going to say, be grateful. We live in my opinion, you don't have to agree with it. Everybody has the right to be wrong.
I've never heard that before.
I had to process that for a second.
Most people do have to process it. But all kidding aside, I think it's important that we step back in times like we're experiencing right now, that we step back and realize how good God is, that we step back and realize that life can always be tougher than whatever it is, but let's focus on what we're grateful for, what we do have rather than what we don't have. I think as humans, I don't know that we'll ever have everything we think we want.
Right.
But I think we will have everything that we need if we allow, God's hand in it. Most people know though I'm a pastor, I'm not a religious guy, but I'm certainly a Christ follower. And when I just look at all the things that have happened this past year with our so many guest success stories, the bus thing coming together, the people that came out of nowhere like Whirlpool to help us with appliances, and you're always going to miss thanking somebody, but it's time to be thankful.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. We have lots to be grateful for.
For sure you do.
And time to slow down, I feel. I feel like it's a good reminder to just slow down and look somebody in the eye, give that hug, take a little bit longer in that conversation.
Yeah.
And seek to understand and not to be right.
Yep.
I think it's I think that growth
Or wrong. A lot of people.
Sure.
For a lot of people, but they think it's factual.
True growth, honestly, is coming to terms with what you don't know. And, I have personally found, I joke often about being 63 years old because I still can't process that in my head. But I will tell you that you get to a place you start to understand that life is pretty dang short.
Mhm.
And it's just not worth getting caught up in some of the stuff. Yeah, I'm going to battle for what's right and wrong, but I can't imagine sitting behind a keyboard just attacking people day in and day out and use that as my last few years on earth.
Yeah.
That's a very sad place to be. It is a mess. Nobody's denying it. We're, I've watched someone said on social media said, well, if civil war were to break out in the United States, and just that statement being said made me inside just kind of get heavy.
Yeah.
And someone says, well, the conservatives wouldn't because they have all the guns.
Mm.
And I went, who's posting this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that even a consideration for conversation?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if, again, we step back and we're grateful for what we do have and realize that the world is not perfect that we live in, not because it wasn't made perfect, but because we exist in it. But we're a lot stronger together than we are apart.
Yeah.
And whether it's talking about the ministry or talking about our families or talking about our friends, we're better together.
You definitely are. Shelley, you want to add anything before we close?
I don't know that I can top that at all.
It's all good stuff.
Yes.
I appreciate both of you and learning more about the ministry and being able to help you guys educate our community. It's been great. And thank you all.
That's right.
Yes. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to both of you. Thank you for watching and listening. Please like and share. Give your family an extra big hug. And if you see a stranger who looks sad or down, maybe give them a hug too, or just say hi. It's all what we can do is be kind. It's free, right?
That's right.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.